Curt Levey from Washington. He's a member of Lawyers for Trump 2020. And Curt, good to have you on the program with us again. I want to talk to you about some of the individual lawsuits that have been filed. First in Georgia, because we are seeing the vote count narrowing now to less than just a few thousand votes between Trump and Biden. There was a lawsuit on the state's handling of absentee ballots that was actually thrown out by a judge. Do you think that we'll see an appeal to this?
I think that all these losses are going to be appealed. So, yes, I do.
And what was the basis for that lawsuit?
Hard for me to keep them all straight in my mind, but there's questions about what absentee ballots should be accepted because they were past the deadline or because people are being asked to cure defects in the ballot, which typically you're not do. Or sometimes they're challenging the matching of signatures, or sometimes the lack of a postmark. And like I say, I tend to get confused about which claims are being made in which state. But those are in whole the claims that are being made in the various states that are still being fought over.
Yeah, and there are about several hundred, I think, lawsuits at the moment. What about Pennsylvania? A state court granted the Trump campaign's request to have its election observers stand closer to the vote counting. So that was a win for the Trump campaign. And at least one other lawsuit challenges provisional ballots and mail-in ballots. Do you think any of these lawsuits could delay the vote counting there in Pennsylvania? Because also, like Georgia, we are seeing the gap between Biden and Trump narrow.
Well, I'm told that the folks in Pennsylvania are not complying with the court order. You're correct that they court ordered them to Republican observers to have equal access, but I'm also told that there's a lack of compliance. So, if there continues to be a lack of compliance, then yes, that will delay the vote counting.
When I spoke to you in the last hour, you said in some of these cases there doesn't need to be evidence or evidence is currently being gathered. How quickly can these lawsuits be pushed through the courts? Because as we know, in an election, there are certain deadlines that have to be met.
Yes, and we saw that with Bush v. Gore in 2000, where ultimately the Supreme Court issued a decision because we were right up against those deadlines. But those deadlines are still about a month away. And courts typically do expedite litigation if you have a situation where it's urgent. So I suspect that these will be resolved one way or another before we're actually talking about the electors having to vote.
All right, Curt Levey in Washington, thank you very much.